The information given on this program is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. You should consult an attorney for individual advice regarding your own situation. Legal Help Live is brought to you by Barney's Beanery, with 4 new locations in the Los Angeles area.
Hey everybody, it's time for Legal Help Live. I am Ralph, this is Steve, and we're here to answer your legal questions as you call in and ask them, and you'll be calling us at 1-800-405-4222. One more time, 1-800-405-4222. Stephen, what are we going to talk about today?
Boy, any kind of legal question you want to call us about, it's an open, we're on the air, you call in, we'll try and answer your question. If we can't answer it, we'll tell you where to go. And
in a nice way.
If you want to call about small claims problems, what's covered in a small claims court? How much can you get? Who can you sue? Who can't you sue? If you're being harassed by your neighbor, or if you're being harassed by an ex-girlfriend or a boyfriend, if someone is stalking you, how can you stop them? Can you get a restraining order? Can you do it yourself? Do the courts help you out by that? What about drugs? All kinds of drug problems.
How about traffic tickets? How about red light cameras? How about running through stop signs and police tracking you down and getting it? How about if you get a ticket and you weren't even driving that day? What do?
Then you probably want to talk to us about your drug problem.
Could be both.
Or DNA. You hear about people been in jail for 20 years and suddenly someone else is now confessed to it, did it to 7 other people, and they run the DNA and you get out. If you want to talk about DNA, can it clear you? Or if I grab your cup and spill this water all over you, and I'd love to do this right now. Does my DNA come on here?
Isn't it?
It is. What about motor issues? What about those people who are driving motorcycles now and are going down I'm going 7 miles an hour on any freeway.
Well, that's because the car ahead of you is going 7 miles an hour. The car ahead of him or her is going 7 miles an hour, down 3 miles down the line.
And those motorcycles are splitting the lanes between both of us, barely missing my windows. Why can they do that? Is this allowable? What happens if they get in an accident and they hit my window? Am I liable for it? This lane splitting thing, if you want to talk about that, give us a call.
Yeah. You know what? We've got a caller already.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, I'm not kidding.
Well,
these are things we don't joke about. So, Adriana, are you there? Can you come in?
Hello?
Adriana, talk to us. Ask us a legal question.
Okay, so my legal question is, I am moving out of my apartment, and I have this awful landlord.
The awful landlord.
Doesn't everybody?
No,
that's not true.
There are some nice landlords
Totally
out there.
kidding. Go ahead.
This guy takes the cake. He's sexist. He has a problem with everyone. He's not a people person. He's the wrong job for him. So I've never gotten along with.
Okay.
I am afraid he's going to do everything he can to keep my security deposit.
Oh, okay.
So I've lived there for almost 5 years now, and I've kind of looked up just sort of online what my rights are, but I can't really find anything definitive. I know it seems like it's a lot of, normal wear and tear you can't deduct for, but what's normal wear and tear? And, I don't know, none of it seems, clear cut. And so I'm thinking that's going to give him the upper hand because he'll just say, oh, well, this is more than wear and tear, it's deducting.
Okay. All right. So the first thing you ought to do is take photographs. Immediately go around to your place, get a video, go into your bathroom, go in your bedroom, go in your kitchen, go to the windows, the blinds, all the things, and just document it. If you've got documentation of it, then that'll show exactly what it'll look like.
And one more thing, I'll come back to you in 1 second, but one more thing you might do is if you've made any repairs at the location. Get invoices. I hope you've kept them. And receipts for the repairs that you've done, and list them out so that you can get credit for that as the lease or your rental agreement winds down.
So you have to document what's going on there. It just happens all the time. A landlord withholds the security deposit either because the rent's not paid or because when you go and look in the apartment, the screens are crashed into, the kitchen is thrashed, the tile is cracked and broken, the windows are chipped, the paint, there are holes in the walls, etc. But if you don't have photographs, then it's just your word against their word. So you need photographs. It's also nice to go do a walkthrough with your landlord at the end. Okay, walk through the apartment with the landlord, go over everything, have him or her prepare a document and list exactly if there's any problems there, get his or her signature on it, you sign it. Then you've got an agreement as to what is, quote, what it looks like. You've got the photographs. And then reasonable wear and tear generally means, if you've been there for 5 years, things kind of wear down a little bit. You don't have to replace those kind of things. They can't deduct for those things. Another thing you should determine is whether you're in a rent control city or a non-rent control city.
Yeah, that's huge.
If you're in a rent control city, you usually have a rent control board. You have to check with them because there are different kind of, each city. For instance, if you're in Santa Monica, check with the Santa Monica Rent Control. If you're in some other rent control cities, check with them. But document. And then if you don't get your money back within a week or so, send them a certified registered letter demanding it. And then what happens, Ralph?
Well, then if you don't get it back, you may end up in small claims court. Because you have a right to your security deposit, assuming that you've met all of your obligations and you haven't trashed the place and you have done no more than normal wear and tear, which means, maybe this place has got to be painted again. That's okay. Maybe the carpet needs replacement. That's okay. If the place looks about what it looked like, approximately, really rough justice, what it looked like when you moved in, then you're probably okay. One more thought, though. If you have time to do this, there are manuals that you can find either online or in a paper library about unlawful detainers, which will have defenses, which will explain what security deposits are, what they're meant to be, what they can be used for, and what the landlord can use those security deposits for. So that's all information. If you have time to get educated that way, might be a good idea to take a trip to the library.
But assuming you haven't thrashed it, you're entitled to every penny of it back.
Absolutely. If the place looks approximately like what it looked like when you moved in, then with normal wear and tear, which is it's just every day after 5 years, then you have a right to your security deposit. And if you don't get it back, a judge is going to give it back to you in a small claims court, and you might get a substantially more than just what the security deposit is, because there are penalties for landlords who don't behave themselves. Steve, we've got to take a break. We're going to come back in just a few moments. We've got to pay some bills with commercials. When we come back, we'll be taking your calls right here on Legal Help Live. Ralph here, Steve there, 1-800-405-4222.
Stay tuned for more Legal Help Live.
Discover 30 years of opera in Santa Monica. Discover the Verdi Chorus.
Riding a bicycle can seem like child's play.
But only if you're playing indoors. Cars and bikes need to play together.
Play it safe. Ride by the rules.
Hey, share the road.
Who knows what gratitude means? Nicholas?
To be thankful.
Writing letters to our military is a great way to say thank you for their service.
Frisco! Somebody loves you.
Dear soldier, thank you for keeping me safe. You're my hero.
To donate or send a care package to America's Heroes, visit OperationGratitude.com.
I thought I had everything under control. Then, one day, something happened. I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know there was help. Until someone told me.
Providing access to justice, the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles can help with domestic violence issues, eviction defense, government benefits, immigration, and other civil legal issues.
Well, we are back. Legal Help Live. Ralph here, Steve there. We're here to answer your legal questions. You're calling us, and I think that's going to be in the screen either now or in a moment. 1-800-405-4222. That's the number to call in and ask a legal question. And when you do that, then you get a legal answer.
And we were dealing just a few minutes ago with the issue over deposits getting back. Security deposit, interesting question. And for the next 10 calls that get on the air, the next 10 calls, we're going to give you a free dinner for two at Barney's.
Two? We've upped it to two?
Dinner for two.
That's wonderful.
In Barney's in Southern California. And you can call in after the show and leave your name and number after the show, and we'll send it out to you.
Absolutely. And we're going to start that right now with Josephine, who's called in. Josephine, are you there? Josephine.
Well, there was a Josephine.
There was a Josephine.
So
maybe there will be again. I don't know. But not right this second. Okay. So where are you?
Well,
what are you thinking?
I'm thinking about what are we going to do about the traffic, all the traffic in Southern California. We're at gridlock. What's the law tell us about traffic other than we can't move?
The law says that if you're stuck in traffic, don't back up on an on-ramp.
Well, I know.
But Stephanie's on the phone. Do you want to take a call?
Well, yeah. Then I want to talk about use of cell phones, how you use cell phones.
Oh, Lord, yes.
And traffic, and whether you can use them when you're at a dead standstill.
Yes.
So let's take a call. This is a call-in show.
Stephanie, come on and talk to us.
Yes, hi. I actually had a question. I moved into my rental house about 5 years ago, and when I moved in it, the stove actually didn't work. So I went ahead and got it fixed by myself, and I'm moving out of my rental house now because my lease is over, and the stove isn't working again. So I wanted to know if I had to actually fix it again or not.
Interesting. Are you roommates with Adriana?
No.
A previous caller? I didn't think so, but it's an interesting question.
What, you lived 5 years without a stove?
No, I didn't get that. What I got was that she...
Wait. Let her tell me. Your stove's been working for 5 years after you got it. You fixed it and it worked for 5 years.
Yeah, she fixed it. And then
when I first moved in, it didn't work, so I got it fixed when I first moved in.
Oh, okay. All right, because I thought it was one of those new diet fads where you don't eat for 5 years.
A 5-year diet. That's great.
No.
Okay.
And now it doesn't work again?
Yes.
Who put the stove in?
The landlord.
Just, you know.
And when are you moving out?
I would say, I think I have about a month left.
Notify the landlord immediately the stove's not working. Have him come in. He'll send in somebody and fix it. He supplied the stove. You've been there for 5 years. It's his obligation to fix it.
Not only that, but it was broken when you moved in.
Well, unless there's a turkey stuck in there getting ready for some holiday, and it doesn't work because you can't get the turkey out of it.
Or if it's on fire. If it's on fire, ignore everything we're doing. Hang up and call 911. But if it's generally functioning, except for now when it's broken again, you don't get that deducted from your security deposit because it was broken when you moved in, and B, as my friend here Stephen says, have the landlord fix it. That's his obligation anyway. It's his stove. It's his place. He should fix it. You've got another month to live there, so you should definitely have it fixed.
Yeah, there's no reason not to have landlords. You know, they get rent. And they get a lot of rent from you. Have them fix those things that aren't working. Most people are afraid of the landlord. Speak up. They can't throw you out for speaking up, period. And they should fix those things. So get it fixed, and then you won't have a problem. And if you're leaving again, take photographs of everything. Make sure everything looks nice and is nice.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Stephanie, go get him.
Oh,
Good
by the
luck.
way,
Yes.
call back in after the show's over, and you get a free dinner for two at Barney's. You're going to have to leave your name and a place that we can send you the certificate.
You don't even have to bring your own stove. Just show up. Okay, we got Josephine back. Josephine, come on and talk to us.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
What can I do I am on the government no-call list. I'm an old woman.
Why, are you a terrorist?
You say no fly or no call?
No call.
Oh, I thought you said no fly.
No. I'm on the no-call list.
Okay.
I'm an old woman. I get calls like, don't hang up, you've been approved for a medical alert, and we will give you $3,000. I know that's a scam. How can I stop these callers from calling me? Because it's dangerous for me to try to reach the phone when it's inconvenient and it's hard for me to get up.
Well,
firstly,
there isn't a person in this studio
no.
who hasn't had that problem. There's probably not a person out there in TV land who has not had that problem.
Probably within the last 3 hours.
Yeah, it's horrible what goes on. And they always do it during dinner time.
Yeah, I know.
They know my habits and about 300 million other people's
That's
habits.
because they're calling from across the street.
So you've registered. Is it a cell phone or a regular phone?
It's a landline.
Landline.
You might go back and make sure that you're still registered. Sometimes the registration fails and a name gets dropped off the list. So I would go back and verify that you're still on the no-call list.
And you can also there's an Attorney General hotline number, which we can give to you off the air, or you can call that number afterwards and we'll get it back to you. State Attorney General's office has a consumer hotline, and the city that you live in also generally has a consumer hotline. LA County Bar's got a consumer hotline, and you can report it to the governmental agencies. The problem is that most of these calls are robocalls. They're automatic calls. You get a tape, you get this and that, and most of them are offshore companies that are operating. They're operating in other parts of the world where there are no rules or regulations. It's a very difficult situation. And, it's like getting the unwanted faxes or the trash mail or the email, etc.
All those emails.
It's awful difficult to turn it off. I mean, we can give you a whole law answer on it, but you've got a real practical problem. Just don't answer the phone.
That's another possibility.
Or put the star, whatever that number it is.
It's very difficult. I have to answer the phone. Some of these calls are important.
Well, but you can put the star in there so that those machines don't get through it. The star.
Yeah, I know what I can't verbalize it, but I know that it exists. I know what you're talking about.
And you can get you can make your phone number unlisted. That also helps. Because I have two phones at the house. The unlisted one doesn't get the calls. The listed one gets it. So a phone company can help you being unlisted. You can take your phone and make it where they have to dial one star and a number, and then
somebody once told me that when they get calls that are unsolicited and from people that they don't want to hear from, they say, "Could you hold, please?" And then they go out to dinner.
So I wish we had a real answer for you, but there's some practical things you could do. Now, if you were on the no-fly list,
then we could help you.
Then we could probably help you.
Yeah, much easier. All right, Josephine, thanks for calling Legal Help Live. This was not a solicited call, but we welcomed it anyway.
It is a problem. You're sitting home, you're watching television, you're watching Legal Help Live, and the two guys on Legal Help Live tell you that's a real problem. There's not much of a solution to it. The problem with some of the technological situations is there are not a lot of solutions to it. What do you do if suddenly you're getting all these unsolicited emails, and then you find out somebody has set up a fake Facebook account for you.
Oh, yeah.
Put out all kinds of things on it, and then start putting on crazy pictures about people that you know and saying horrible things about them.
we're going to...
And those are real cases.
Yes, there are, and they're continuing, and they're going to continue, and there's not much you can do about it except... And we're going to go to Danielle. I know that you're there, and I know that you want to talk to us. We're going to pick up the phone in 1 second. What I do, and what others have told me they do, is if they don't recognize there's so many scams out there, some serious scams. If they don't recognize who's coming in, or they don't recognize the email, even though the first name and the last name they might recognize, but then it's attached to an email they don't recognize, spam. Put it in your spam folder and move on.
Well, because sometimes it attacks your computer.
Right, absolutely.
And sometimes it attacks you.
Yes, that's true too.
And the whole area of internet and the law, if you've got internet law problems or privacy problems or Facebook problems or whisper problems or problems where people are saying horrible things about you on the internet, what can you do about that? We get more calls now as lawyers, a lot more calls over those kind of issues now than I've ever seen before in my life.
Well, that's a very serious question, because you've got First Amendment rights but trying to be balanced against rights to privacy. Can somebody disclose private information about you on the general internet? Used to be if somebody said something bad about you, as to one other person, two other people, that's a publication, but it doesn't really mean very much. But when thousands of people have access to seriously false information that is damaging to you, do they have a First Amendment right to do that?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But the problem is that the Googles of the world generally don't take the stuff off for a long period of time, if they take it off at all.
Yeah, and by then it's old news anyway. I mean, things last for like 24, maybe 48 hours.
But I think it hurts. I think it hurts people.
You know what? It could be more serious than just hurting people. Teenagers who get messages like that, derogatory, defamatory, mean, bullying messages, sometimes they take very serious action against their own selves.
Yeah, and it used to be that people just bully you one-on-one. Now they bully you in cyberspace.
Yes.
And that's pretty horrible.
Somehow it's worse.
So let's go back to the phones. 1-800-405-4222.
And we have Danielle. Danielle, come on and talk to us.
Danielle, come out of the woods and onto TV.
Hello.
Hello, Danielle.
This is Danielle.
How are you?
Boy, you sound like you're sort of kicking back, eating bonbons, drinking a soda, and sipping on something I can't talk about. How can we help you?
No, not quite that. I'm actually in some pain. About 8 months ago, I was in a crosswalk and I was hit by a van, and I broke some bones and had some internal injuries. And I did get a lawyer.
Okay.
But he's not returning my calls.
Wow.
Oh.
You know.
Are you going to ask us medical issues, or are you going to ask us about the lawyers not returning your calls? Because we could probably do both.
Or the lawyer returning my calls, because I already, met with him and said for him to take care of my case.
Okay.
Okay, so that's probably a problem that lawyers get into more problems with clients, and I think the biggest, if you call the state bar and say what is one of the big problems, it's not returning phone calls to people.
Yeah,
now, I don't know why lawyers don't return phone calls.
I've seen those statistics. You're absolutely right.
They're out trying to get clients. When they get a client, they want to communicate with them. The client calls in, wants to know what's going on, and the lawyer doesn't return the call. Have you called more than once?
Yes, I have. I've called more than once. I've called at least once a week for the last month.
And this accident happened
about 8 months ago.
Is there a lawsuit on file? Do you know, or?
That's what I don't know. That's what I've been trying to find out.
There's something that lawyers fear. One of them is a state bar, and number two is assuming you've got a decent case, they don't want to get rid of the case. Now maybe the lawyer's sick, maybe the lawyer's out of town, but there's no excuse for someone in the office not saying, Mr. Jones had a horrible accident, he's in this hospital, his assistant will talk to you. Have you tried to get through to the assistant?
No, actually, when I went and met with him, there wasn't an assistant. It was just him. He didn't, it was just him in the office.
Well,
there was no one else there.
This is not a good situation. So
I heard the magic word, and this is something we've suggested to people under similar circumstances for years and years now.
I think it's time to get a second opinion from another law firm to find out, one, have them intercede with the first lawyer, because maybe this lawyer hasn't done anything at all. I mean, there's some lawyers
which is dangerous by itself.
Yeah, because we don't know anything about the facts of your case, but there are time limits, and there's investigation need to be done, and evidence needs to be looked at, and doctors need to be contacted, and you need to be treated like a human being, not like he's doing you a favor.
Danielle, did you give this guy any money?
No.
Okay.
He's doing it on a contingency, probably.
Yeah,
which means he's getting part of the recovery. But remember, if you get
so
zero,
do I still
there
have
is
time?
No, excuse me?
Do I still have time to get another attorney?
Generally, for an accident in California, under most circumstances, there's 2 years to file a lawsuit. But if it's a government, for instance, if you were hit by a bus or a train or
if the van, you mentioned van, if the van was owned by a governmental entity,
then you have, generally, if it's a state government or a city government or a county government, you have 6 months from the date of the incident to file a claim. There is a provision for late claim. So you need to get moving, I think, right now to find out what happened. I would get a second opinion. I'd go find another lawyer. If you're in the Santa Monica area, Santa Monica Bar Association has a good referral service. You just go on the internet, Santa Monica Bar Association referral service, accident case. They'll give you 1 or 2 or 3 lawyers. If you're in LA, it's the LA County Bar Association.
Danielle, if you can't find anybody looking through those resources, then call us after hours. The same phone number, 1-800-405-4222. And we'll get you to a list of people who might be very interested in helping you out. And whoever you get as for a second opinion should also be able to find out if you've got a lawsuit on file, which is really important to know.
And how did you get to the lawyer in the first place?
A friend of mine referred me to him.
Okay. Well, generally, just maybe to give you a little more peace of mind, go on the internet, put his or her name in, and Google them, and you'll see. I mean, I've Googled some people, and you can see that they've got bar complaints, etc. You can go on the state bar website, put the lawyer's name in. It'll show you whether they have any discipline, how long they've practiced, etc., etc. But before you go see a lawyer, even if it's referred by somebody else, it's helpful, like if you're going to a doctor for the first time, to check them out. And with the use of the internet, it's really easy. And maybe it's a wrong fit, or maybe the lawyer doesn't smell your perfume, which is called essence of money. I mean, he's working on a contingency.
Yeah, maybe he's not interested anymore.
So I would, sounds like you should get someplace else, but this time let's try and find someone who does personal injury and who's got an office and a staff that's going to at least get back to you and solve your problems and make you feel better.
Danielle, this is a project for tomorrow morning. Don't let it lax. Don't be lax. Don't let it lapse. Go right now. Tomorrow morning, make that call, okay? Okay, thanks a lot, Danielle. We've got a lot of people who want to talk to us right now. How about if we go stick with the phones and talk to Tina? Tina, you're up.
Oh, and by the way, Tina, you just will receive a dinner for 2 at Barney's if you call the number after the show and leave your name and address and where we can send the certificates back to you.
Same for Danielle. And now Tina's up. All right, Tina, are you there?
Yes, I am.
What's your question?
My question is,
yes.
I want to know, how do I go about filing a complaint against the director of child support for closing 2 cases? One father owes over $200,000 and the second one owes $50,000.
Okay, so we're talking about child support for your children, correct?
Yes.
And is it here in California?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this LA County, Los Angeles County?
Orange County.
Orange County. Okay.
So you were involved in some divorce process, and during the divorce process, you got a child support order. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the father, which I'm going to call the deadbeat father, is not paying his share of the child support that he was ordered to pay by the court. Is that correct?
Yes.
And was he ever brought into court and held in contempt for not doing this, or was the matter? It was. He was.
Yes.
Has the judge thrown him in jail yet?
He found him in contempt of court, but had him purge an amount, and he did.
Okay.
And so he'll pay, and then he'll leave out of court and won't pay for 3 or 4 months, and then I have to file motions to get him back in. But I had an attorney, which I had to let go because it cost me like $10,000. So they said, the state can help you. So when I went through the state, I was just very persistent, where they weren't doing anything, so I contacted the director, and it just went around in a circle for several months. And that person contacted me and told me that they were closing my cases, and my house would close the case.
Closing the case.
How about the district attorney's office? They have a child support as a district.
They go after errant fathers who fail to live up to their financial obligations.
They're deadbeat dads. Let's not call them errant. They're deadbeat dads.
You can call them that.
Deadbeat.
You just did. Okay.
I mean, I know they can't get their driver's license renewed, and that they have a state license.
I'm
they
not
can't
sure
get that
this guy cares.
No, he probably doesn't even have a license or insurance. So what's the district attorney doing about it?
Well, the district attorney told me that I have to go through the child support division, and they forward all the documentation to get it into court. But the last time I spoke to the district attorney, it said that my cases were closed, and I did receive a letter in the mail saying that my cases were closed due to my uncooperation, but I have a certified return receipt showing that I forwarded everything they asked me. I have copies of it.
Okay.
But she was just upset for whatever reason, because I just kept calling.
Have you moved addresses, or are you still at the same address?
I'm at the same address.
Okay, so you've been using the push as much as I can approach, hoping that would push the government into doing something. And that's an approach sometimes you need to do. Maybe it's time to step back a little bit and use the smile and honey sugar approach.
We're going to have to take a break, but
stay on the line.
I'm going to tell staff to not take the break. Give us another couple of seconds because we're talking to Tina and we're at a crucial point here.
Okay, so maybe it's time to be a little sweeter. Maybe you push too hard. I mean, people are real, but there's no reason in that they don't proceed when you're owed that amount of money.
It's always in the government's best interest, and this is why there are services that are provided by the government. In part, they're to help us individuals, you and other people in your situation, but in part, it's to help all of the taxpayers who have to help out when the money should be coming from the quote deadbeat dad. So it's in the government's best interest to pursue this guy as well. Have you contacted anybody in the Orange County Board of Supervisors?
No, that's what I'm calling for. I want to know how would I go about filing a complaint against the director of child support.
I'm not talking about filing a complaint. You can do that. You write a letter to the Board of Supervisors because ultimately they're the political overseer of all things in Orange County. But I was.
Yeah, that's a good. You got a good.
I was going to take give you a slightly different tact to take, and it's this: rather than going after the director, which may or may not get the director in trouble, and likely won't resolve any of the issues that you're facing, rather call the Orange County Board of Supervisors, talk to your supervisor. You're not going to talk to that person probably. You're going to talk to a deputy.
Or make an appointment to come and see him. Or
even better. Go in. Explain what's going on, explain what has gone on, explain how old your kids are, bring all the documentation, all the paperwork, and say, please help me. This is not working right. I'm a victim of the system that's supposed to be helping me.
Or what did I do wrong, and what do I need to do to get this back on track? you'd be surprised that most elected officials have a great staff. They want to help people. That's why they've run for office and got elected. So start at the top. In the county government, the Board of Supervisors is the top. Find out who your supervisor is, make an appointment, go down there, then call us back in a couple of weeks and let us know what's happening.
Yeah, please let us know. And people are regularly surprised at how fast a reaction they get when somebody from the Board of Supervisors calls Child Support Division or some other agency and say, hey, what's going on here? This person needs services and you're not providing it. You'd be shocked. And I hope that's what happens. Call us back in a couple of weeks and let us know.
Okay?
All right. Tina, thank you very much. Good luck to you. Wow. You know, it really aggravates me when agencies that exist to help people don't.
Well, maybe we've given her an avenue. Your
we'll
position
see.
Was pretty good.
I hope she calls us back and let us know. All right. Tell me, are we going to take a break? Okay, we're going to take a break right now, folks. When we come back, you'll be calling us at 1-800-405-4222. That's the number to ask a legal question. Ralph here, Steve there. We'll see you in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Legal Help Live.
Hey, slow down!
Right next to the library on 7th Street is the Santa Monica History Museum, where history comes to life for the entire family. Enjoy the exhibits, main gallery, the photo archive, research gallery, and much more. Come visit the Santa Monica History Museum, keeping history alive.
Experience Highway's Performance Space and Gallery.
I knew my journey would lead me to a place
where I'd find a highway that I could travel to the beat of my own drum. Ride out the storm, 95 Joey died, but deadly was born. And there would be no limits to the vibrancy of my performance.
Join us each week at Highway's Performance Space and Gallery and live without limits. Log on to highwaysperformance.org.
Who knows what gratitude means? Nicholas?
To be thankful.
Writing letters to our military is a great way to say thank you for their service.
Frisco! Somebody loves you.
Dear soldier, thank you for keeping me safe. You're my hero.
To donate or send a care package to America's heroes, visit OperationGratitude.com.
Discover 30 years of opera in Santa Monica. Discover the Verdi Chorus.
We are back. We are Legal Help Live. Ralph here,
No,
Steve
I'm
there.
Steve. I'm not. We are back.
One of us is. No, we're both back. We're both Ralph and Steve, respectively. Okay, we got a lot of people we want to talk to.
Listen, 1-800-405-4222. If you get on the air, if you can talk your way through Ruth Pardo, the screener, which she does a great job, by the way.
She's good.
And our great station manager, Robin G. You get dinner for two at Barney's. Just call the number after.
I'll tell you what. Easier if you call tomorrow morning. We'll have more people to answer that and get all your contact information. Okay, back to the phones. Esther, where are you?
Esther, it's time for you to come on TV. Are you there?
I hear someone.
Yes.
Hi, Esther. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Where are you calling from, Esther?
I'm calling from Los Angeles, California.
From where?
Los
Angeles.
Los Angeles. I've heard of this.
How can we help you?
Oh, I have a question about vaccinations. I decided to not give my child vaccination, and I was just wondering if it's legal for her to attend school and for them to make me get vaccinations for her to attend.
Really, really, really great question.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot. That's on a lot of people's minds, too.
You know, let me ask you this question, because as a lawyer, I'm just going to ask both sides of the question. You don't want to give your daughter a vaccination? Is that
Yes.
okay? The problem is if you don't give your daughter a vaccination, then there are, quote, diseases that she can bring into the classroom to give to all the rest of the kids, which, if everybody doesn't give vaccinations, we had horrible diseases for, smallpox, polio, measles, chickenpox, etc. And why don't you want to give her a vaccination?
Because of the ingredients he has, or I'm not so sure about them, but just like doing some research about it has so much aluminum and mercury and even some animal tissues on it.
Have you gone to your doctor and asked the doctor that question? Or your nurse? Have you done that?
No, I haven't.
I'm sorry, Esther. I heard, I'm not too sure about this. So I think Steve's going down exactly the right track. And this is a suggestion. But it's always important before decisions are made that people are fully educated, fully informed as to what the subject matter is, and get all the information and all the facts that you possibly can before you make a decision so it can be an informed decision. I don't know how many kids you have, but I'm going to guess that your kids are the most important thing in your life. They're the most important people in your life, and the classmates, the schoolmates who go to school with your kids are the most important things, or should be, in their parents' life. So it's really important that you get fully informed.
But to answer your question, schools have an obligation to protect all the kids in the school. And traditionally they have required, at all levels, that you have the vaccination certificate that shows that they've had all the appropriate vaccinations that are required. If it's a private school, they have a standard. If it's a public school, it generally goes through the elected officials and their staff, and there are state laws also on the subject for schools. So they could, and they do, keep your children out of school for not having the vaccinations. I think. But
is it legal for them to do that? That was my question.
I don't think it's illegal. I think it is legal. I mean, you have some options. You can not give them vaccinations. You can homeschool them, and you can do those kinds of things. But there's a mandatory education. There's an obligation for you to make sure your kids are educated in California. Now, the moral issue about whether they should get the shots or they don't get the shots is something that you're going to have to worry about. But if no one gives vaccinations, you think the quote Ebola situation, which fortunately in this country has been limited, but just imagine what the diseases would be rampant if we don't use the medical things that we have at our in our background to get vaccinations to protect us and the kids and everybody else.
Esther, I think it's a very good question to ask, and I think it's a very important question to ask. But now that you've asked us and gotten some legislation behind an answer to your question, I think now you've got some questions to answer yourself. And I know that you want to do what's best for your children. And I'm going to guess that you're going to become fully informed and then make an informed decision. And then it's your decision as to what to do next. Esther, thank you very much for calling Legal Help Live. Don't forget to call tomorrow, 1-800-405-4222, and get your gift certificate for two. You can take your child or somebody else, up to you. Good luck, Esther, and thank you very much for the call.
That's a tough area.
We have a limited time and a lot of people.
Tough area. Let's move on.
Moving on to William. William, come on in.
Hello.
Hello, William. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome. What can we do for you? William, where are you calling from?
Baldwin Hills, West LA.
Okay, very nice. What can we do for you?
I have a question. My dentist pulled the wrong tooth and now needs to pull out the right one. What can I do?
It hurts just talking about it.
You've really touched. You've really touched the nerve for Steve.
Well,
William.
Wait, so you went in, you had x-rays, it's going to be this tooth, and he or she goes in and pulls the wrong tooth. And now you got to have another one pulled.
Yeah, there is such, and you've got to do that because that's what
the other one goes. It hurts anyway.
Yeah, Well, you've got
first of all, leave that dentist.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Get a second opinion. Make sure that what you expect to do is what you're supposed to do. So go to another dentist, get another opinion. Don't let the first dentist do anything more to you. And in addition to that, you've got dental expenses that you should be able to recoup. You've got pain and suffering that you should be able to collect for. It sounds like you've got a dental malpractice case that you can pursue. When did this happen?
Just a week ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay, most of the time what happens is the dentist apologizes and says, I'm sorry, I'll do the second tooth.
Some of them offer your tooth back.
Yeah.
Don't take it.
And what they say is we'll do the repair work in the next tooth and won't charge you, or they charge you for that also.
Yeah, insult to injury.
Did you get a bill for the first tooth?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's great.
Wow.
All right, William.
Well, what I would do is get out of that office immediately.
Yeah, definitely.
Find yourself a dentist that'll be a little more careful. Get a second opinion as to whether or not the tooth they want to pull now really needs to be pulled. Have your dentist send you to a specialist that will give you an estimate as to what dental implants will cost, because you're going to have to put implants now in, because you're going to have two teeth missing.
Yeah, now you're missing 2 teeth.
And that's not fun. It's expensive. It's an emotional drain on you. And then you may want to consider going to see a lawyer to determine whether or not there was malpractice in pulling the wrong tooth or not.
And there are lawyers who do a lot of dental malpractice cases, and you can go in the LA County Bar Association list, and if you can't find one, again, call us tomorrow, 1-800-405-4222. If you can't find an attorney, we'll try to help you out.
And the recovery in those kind of cases would be basically the cost. Do you have dental insurance? That's my first question. Do you have insurance for
he's gone.
Okay.
William said thank you and hung up.
Generally, the recovery is whatever the cost it is to repair and solve the cost of the medical problems, and that might be anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000.
Right.
And then whether or not you're able to work, because like if you're depending on what your occupation is, maybe that affects you can't go to work for a while, so you get your lost wages back. And then there's this thing called pain and suffering for the agony that
You said pain and suffering?
And I heard something drop and I jumped.
On cue.
So that's the kind of suffering I suffer when I hear the word dentist. But not that they're not great people, but you are entitled.
But sometimes they make mistakes.
You are entitled for the recovery from emotional stress.
We've got more callers. Give me the next name.
Judy.
Okay. Judy, come on in and talk to us, Judy.
Hey, I have a question. Is it true that if you use Medi-Cal after the age of 55, that after you die, that the government will seize any assets?
Oh, boy, that is a great question.
Judy, where are you calling from?
Westchester.
Westchester, okay.
Okay, so Medi-Cal. You reach the golden ages, you reach a certain golden age, and you get certain benefits that you paid for all your life. And one of them is Medicare.
Yep.
Are you talking about Medicare?
I'm talking about Medi-Cal.
Oh, Medi-Cal.
The California.
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
You know, I'm not giving you the right advice. I don't want to give you the wrong advice. Here's what I'd like you to do. Can you drop us an email, and we'll look into it, and we'll get back to you, and then we'll next time on the air give you your answer also live. If you can just write to legalhelplive@gmail.com. Give us you can do it anonymously if you want to. Just give us your question, and we'll check it out. We'll get you back an answer, and then next time we're on the air, we'll tell you about it too.
This is going to sound really refreshing coming from 2 veteran lawyers. We don't know, but we'll find out.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so it's
Judy.
legalhelplive@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Give us some email to get back onto you on it.
All right. Thanks for calling, Judy. And by the way, tomorrow call 1-800-405-4222. Give contact information. We'll get you those gift certificates for dinner for two.
You know, that issue comes up sometimes when people go into rest homes or have long-term care, etc. And the question is, and I get the feeling that there is money going back to Medi-Cal because they have a house, and then there are liens on the house. And
I think so, but I'm just not sure.
Let's check it out.
Okay, but we do have Nancy. Nancy, it's your turn. Come on in and ask your legal question. You got Ralph and Steve all ready for you.
Nancy.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. The DWP came to my house today and told me that they're moving the power line because they're doing construction.
You don't sound very happy.
I'm miserable.
Come on. Let's put it in reality. You're looking at two nice lawyers who are here smiling at you. So let's get a big smile on your face, and then we'll try and deal with your question.
Well, you live here with all the banging and pounding.
Well, there's construction going on.
It sounds like an invitation to me.
I'll be right there.
Okay, Nancy. So DWP comes and they say, we're going to move your power line.
Right, because my power line is going across where their developers are putting a house. And now they want to cut my trees, come in, turn the power off for 6 hours at least.
6 hours? Oh,
yes. And I'm very upset about this. Do I have any legal recourse?
Well, you know, Ralph Saltzman is an expert in the tree issues and turning off.
And how much are they going to pay you for all of this damage that they're going to cause?
Absolutely nothing. They'll pay me in dust and dirt.
Wait. There's a construction project going on, it sounds like, next to your house. And your power line has been going, across the neighbor's property for a long time? Is that what it is? And they want to move the power line to someplace on your property. Is that what the issue is?
Apparently, but I'm really not happy because...
No, nor would anybody be under those circumstances. Are they telling you that this is supposed to be a permanent move?
Yes.
Permanent. They're going to permanently move the power line to accommodate somebody else's construction project.
Right.
Well, what if the power line, as I can visualize it, the power line on Nancy's property is going across the neighbor's property where they're doing the building. And so what they're doing, it sounds like they're just going to move the power line off the neighbor's property and move it back to the power line behind her property. And they'll have to trim the trees back so that there's no fire hazard between the power lines getting onto the power line.
Yeah.
So what would you think should be done in that case?
As far as the legal ramifications are concerned, you may have in your deed, you may have already given the Department of Water and Power full right and authority to move the power line as they deem necessary.
Are you in the city of Los Angeles?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well,
DWP.
Yeah, Department of Water and Power generally has easements to move those power lines.
Yeah.
And do what's necessary so it doesn't create a fire.
Yeah, but on the other hand, maybe they don't have to move it to where they're proposing or saying that they're going to move it. Have you tried to talk to a supervisor down at DWP?
No, I don't really know what to do now.
Well, what I would do, and it may or may not work, you may have zero rights in this, period, other than perhaps filing a lawsuit, and I'm not suggesting that because, as I said a while ago, you may have given up all your rights to dictate where the power lines go by when you purchase the property. But you might call a supervisor down at DWP. You might call your city council person. They are amazing in getting sub-agencies and sister agencies to accommodate their constituents. You might try to call your local city council person.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And you've just won a dinner for two, take you out of this house so you can get happy at Barney's. If you can call in, say tomorrow and leave your name and
Yeah, all your contact
your address.
information. You could have a 6-hour dinner. You wouldn't even know the power's down. All right. Okay, Nancy, thank you for calling Legal Help Live. I hope we gave you a couple of suggestions that might work. Okay. Who's up? Jose. Jose, come on and talk to us. If that's Jose, he's got a very strange question.
He's calling in to place a bet.
Okay.
So,
I'm getting a message from headquarters. Vada, V-A-D-A, like Vada? Okay, Vada, come on and talk to us. Ask your legal question because we're going to run out of time.
Yes, hi. Hi, how are you guys? Well, my question is about the elderly people and also the veterans. And not only veterans, the U.S. citizens. Our people, just who resigned on the streets of Los Angeles and who already dead. And how come it's happened?
How come we have people who don't have homes and live in Los Angeles?
It's not only homes. How we are forgetting about people who are our history, who deserve something, who deserve at least hug once a day.
Why are there people who need services walking the streets of Los Angeles, and the government is ignoring them? Is that your question, roughly?
Not only government, the people, yeah, but the government.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. There's a relationship between government and the people who support the government. But let me tell you, I'm not sure there's an answer to the question. I agree with you that a lot of people don't get the services that they should get, that they deserve to get. But I can also tell you that there are a couple of cities, the city of Los Angeles, and to a lesser extent the county of Los Angeles, and to a very great extent the city of Santa Monica, have amazingly effective programs where they take care of people like this if these people want to be taken care of.
It's not true.
Well,
it's not true.
Steve and I have some experience in dealing with these organizations.
It's not true.
Vada, I'm sorry, we're going to have to go because it's time for us to actually leave. But and so we're going to say goodbye to you now, and I appreciate the call. You also have great sympathy from us because Steve and I, as I say, dealt quite a bit with this situation on the street for a documentary on City TV. Folks, we got to go. It's time for us to leave. We're Ralph, we're Steve, we're Legal Help Live. We're looking forward to seeing you next time, 1-800-405-4222, and we will see you again soon.
And let's all be happy.